Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and yes, the angle is slightly different, and yes, I'm looking like a tramp as each day passes by. It's lockdown for you, it's just not good enough, but Celtic against Aberdeen tomorrow is what you're here for. Celtic against Aberdeen tomorrow is what we're going to speak about. A game which at this point in time is quite intriguing, as both sets of fans desperately want to see their managers going. It's going to make a right good bit of entertainment tomorrow night. Right then, as I said in the intro to the video, Celtic against Aberdeen, a game in which both teams have suffered quite ill-fated seasons. Aberdeen at a point looked like they could go and challenge and perhaps maybe grab that third place by the neck and take it as their own. They looked at a point they were going to be better off than Hibs to go and finish third, and the form recently wouldn't suggest so. Celtic, who going into this season were going for 10 in a row, have struggled and at points looked like a third place team as well. Both teams have really disappointed from the expectations set at a certain point by both media and fans. So it makes for an interesting tie. Neil Lennon and Derek McInnes, two of the most, I don't know how to put it in a nice way, two of the most wanted men in Britain, you could say at this point, by the supporters. Both clubs want to see change. Aberdeen have been victims of their own success, I would say, in the sense that over the past few years they've done so much under McInnes. They've constantly been finishing in the top three, constantly making European places and getting to cup finals, whereas it's got to the point now where it has just got a bit boring, and despite all the success he's brought, Aberdeen fans want that change. Celtic, on the other hand, Neil Lennon has thrown everybody under the bus. He's called he's been slagging off the fans at points, it seems. There's been a lot of things on both sides that have made it a very tough to watch season, and I think now both of us, if you're an Aberdeen fan watching, I think would agree, are just looking forward to getting on to the next season and seeing if there is that change there. But nonetheless, we lock horns for one of the, I think there's probably two more after this against Aberdeen, in fact, yeah. One of the three occasions still to play in this season tomorrow night, and a game which it'll be interesting because of the current sense of despair amongst fans. Let's start off with Celtic, as we usually do, and talk about us going into the game tomorrow night. Celtic come off the back of 4 straight wins. That's something that I never thought I'd be saying with the way that this season has panned out. But we've come off the back of some good wins. The fact is, though, our performances haven't been great in them, and I've continuously said that. I said that again in a 4-0 win against St Mirren, and I'll say it against a 2-1 win against St Johnstone. We have not been good enough. The football has been bland, it's been boring, it hasn't looked adventurous. We've been very reliant on players to pull us out the mud. Cough, cough, Turnbull and Edouard. It's been the same repetitive thing we've seen for the last few games. It's been hoping for the best, and it feels like that's the sense of direction. Now, for months and months and months, back in the earlier point of the season, back when we were in October, November, we spoke about how Celtic didn't have a sense of identity, they didn't have a style. It felt like tactically we were just we were gone with the wind. It wasn't going to happen. But now we're at the point where, there's no time now to discover a tactic. We're going into March almost. The season is coming to an end. The tactic and the identity has been send them out and hope for the best. And I think that is exactly what we'll see against Aberdeen. Don't get me wrong, Aberdeen have not been great recently, and we will come on to that. But it's a team that know how to cause Celtic problems. They've caused Celtic problems already this season. We went to Pittodrie, 3-3 draw. It was a difficult watch. They'll know what to do, and it's a kind of game that I think will force mistakes out of Celtic, and they'll force Celtic to play, once again, poor football. Now, once again, we're going to look to those key players. I think you're going to see Edouard want to carry on his form. I mean, if he can score 7 games on the bounce, that is tremendous. He is right now playing for that move in the summer, isn't he? It's going to be such a sad day when he goes, but he is. He's playing for that move in the summer. He's been brilliant as of recent. He can go and score 7 on the bounce. Turnbull, who's been brilliant defensively, we're looking a little more assured than what we have throughout the entirety of the season. There has been gradual improvement in areas of the park over the past 3-4 games, and that is what I think now the story is to build on. Our team performances and our tactical performances haven't been great, but from certain individuals we're getting something, and I think that's what we'll turn to once more against Aberdeen. Let's talk about the review. Going into this game, of course, we were off the back of that review that was given to us by Ian Bankier during the week, or on Monday morning, sorry. And you know, it's one of those ones that is kind of sent the fans up and uproar again. I'm sure we're going to hear the propaganda on the Path to Paradise tomorrow surrounding everything, but you know, the club seem pretty happy with where we are. They're quite happy with the fact we're stagnating, we're losing money. We're probably going to lose more money in the summer with the way things are going. I'm sure that thousands will be dropping their season tickets. You know, there was really no sort of address to the fact that, you know, Neil Lennon's still here and the future of the club. That was the big part that was missed out. We spoke about it a lot in depth yesterday on the podcast. If you want to go back and watch it, it is on the channel. We spoke about it a lot on there. But there is no discussion about the future of the club. There is no discussion as to Lennon's position and how secure it is. They come out and say Neil Lennon's addressed every game or whatever. Of course he has to. It's part of his job. It really made no sense to me. There has been no sort of... it's annoying because we don't know where the club's future is at the minute. We don't know what's going up there, and as I said earlier, it's gone with the wind. It's up in the air. We don't quite know what to expect, and you know, they've released it at this perfect time where we have won 4 games on the bounce. We could go and make it 5 in a row tomorrow night. And it kind of gives them an excuse to mollycoddle Lennon once more, and I think that was the whole tactic in releasing it at this time. Look, they should have released it at the end of January when they originally said they would, but if they'd done it then, it wouldn't have suited the board's agenda of keeping Lennon in charge. So, you know, there's a lot of good tactics around that, unlike on the park. But going into this game, I think fans will be... You know, people have been moaning at me in the comment section for being negative towards the team performance, and I think that's been quite right. I think that's been justified, and I've justified that every single time I've done a review or preview on this channel. But a large majority of the fans will be going into this game with a negative attitude and a negative mindset because of that statement, and once again, I think that's quite rightly so. Now, how will the players respond? Aberdeen, they've had a tough time with it. Let's come on to the opposition now. I think the stats go to show that this is a game Celtic should be winning. It's a game that Celtic are the favourites for. They're at Celtic Park. They should be, you know, going out and acting on those stats and those figures. But, you know, throughout the course of the entire season, we've shown it's not as simple as that for Celtic. And maybe, you know, it's a game that our team once more goes in underestimating the opposition. No wins in their last 5 Scottish Premiership matches and failing to score in 3 of their last away games. They're in a horrible position. And the Aberdeen fans, once again, in the same position as us, quite rightly want to see McInnes go for the form that they're in. It's quite weird, you know, as we mentioned at the start, there was an expectation at a point in the season that they could go on and do something, but there has been that kind of decline in Aberdeen over the last couple of years. It's weird, yet they seem to somehow pull out the bag and finish 3rd. And I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow do it this year and it keeps McInnes a job. There's a lot of parallels between Celtic and Aberdeen in that sense. But look, just because of that form doesn't mean we can overlook them. They're still a quality filled team. They've got players over the park who can make a difference. I think they are struggling with a couple of injuries in there. There's been talk about Ash Taylor and such not being completely fit, but look, they've got players over the park who make a big difference to the game. They've got a very talented squad, and at one point in the season I said this is probably the best squad that McInnes has had as Aberdeen manager, and I stick by that. I think this is the best squad McInnes has ever had as Aberdeen manager. It's just not coming to fruition for him at the minute. He's not gotten playing the way they should be. I think his style might be depriving them of the quality that they can show. But, you know, they've got players of that part. McCrory has been one of the key ones, Ferguson. They've now brought in Fraser Hornby up front. They've got players at the back who are decent enough. Joe Lewis in goals. It's a solid team. They've built on a lot of the players who've been there for a while, but added young talent around there. So it's a team that can do damage. Look, if St Mirren and St Johnstone and Ross County and all the rest of it can challenge us and play us to the very end and do it at Celtic Park especially, there is no reason Aberdeen can't. And they'll be wanting to put this form away. They'll be wanting to get out the window. They will want to get back to winning ways, and they will come out, try to play tomorrow, I think. I think that in the opening stages of the game, they'll make it tricky. Defensively, they'll be very well set up, and I think we will have the majority of the ball. But as we lose fitness, as we lose sharpness, and the game goes on, it'll benefit those young lads and their team better. They'll go on and they'll try to score a goal if they can keep the game tight. And it's all about Celtic getting in that game early, getting in front early, and getting the first goal. I think it'll be interesting now as we move on to the team selection and score predictions part of the video. It'll be interesting to see what Lennon will do tomorrow night. If he'll still hit out with the fatigue comment, something I didn't even touch on in the last match review. I completely forgot to, but the Ayete fatigue, will that come back into play? It's frustrating me, really is. I'm fatigued watching the fucking football, never mind anything else. But, you know, it's just... I don't get it. And we've got Sorrell, who's now dropped to the bench to make way for Brown. And don't get me wrong, I think Brown has been better than what we've seen from a large part of the season in the last few games. But we should not be making excuses to get him back in the team now over Sorrell, who is someone who's going to be an instrumental part of the Celtic rebuild. It's very frustrating. In saying that, I do believe Brown... They just spit everywhere. Saying that, I do believe Brown will end up starting again. I think Brown will probably keep that place till the end of the season unless he has one of those performances that is genuinely atrocious. Like, he has to be dropped for it. I don't see him getting chucked back out the team for Sorrell, which is a shame, but it is what it is. Will a Yeti come back in? Will he try and go for something else? I think it would be daft not to bring a Yeti in. Surely that's the fatigue gone. He's had his match out. He should be back in now for the midweek game. I don't know where Lennon's head's at with it all, and he's made this season, in terms of score predictions and team predictions, very difficult. He's made it very hard to even give a sort of reasonable guess because of how bad it's been at times. I think we're going to go with pretty much the exact team that started against St Johnstone. I think Christie will start again. I think a Yeti could come back into the team right enough, but apart from that, I think we're looking at an identical team that played against St Johnstone. And as for my score prediction, well, ladies and gents, I'm going to go for a 2-0 Celtic win. Yes, a clean sheet. Aberdeen aren't great at the minute. Let's capitalise on that. Let's try and get a comfortable performance, and let's make it entertaining for a change. However, I see myself sleeping by half-time in this rate. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed, make sure to hit like and subscribe. Kind of flew through it today, but it's what has to be done. Hope you've enjoyed. Make sure to go and follow on Twitch. We've been streaming a lot this week, and I'll see you all next time.